let's talk about Cobbled It Carla. She does look frazzled because, honestly, guys, this is the person of the avatars that I have been for years. I have been this person for years because it's the overwhelmed speaker. And overwhelmed in the sense of having to manage all these various tools and platforms and stuff that's not automated or integrated. It just is frustrating. Now, Zach, you smiling. What's resonating?
I've got my sister written all over.
Your sister or?
Not sister, yeah. She manages our office. And I try to get her to automate stuff, and she thinks the spreadsheets, manual, are better. So
Bless her, bless her. For example, years ago when my first initial website I ever built was just on GoDaddy. It was very basic, but it was 20 years ago. So I wanted to upgrade it to a more modern looking website 15, 20 years ago. And so I started learning all these different sites and platforms to build websites, and I was trying WordPress. And WordPress back then, it took me 3 weeks to try to just get the header on the website laid out, and it didn't even work then. So someone told me about another site called Lead Pages and how it was just a very simple drag and drop type thing. In 3 minutes, I did what took me 3 weeks in WordPress. So when I signed up for it and went ahead and paid and said, you know, why'd you change? And I said, I did in 3 minutes what took me 3 weeks. That was on their masthead of their website for 10 years. Nice. One of the things, why I was telling you that, one of the things I really tried to get them to do was I wanted a password protected page so that if I had something I wanted to sell to someone on stage, a video or a series or a course, I could say, hey, go to this website, log in, and you can get it back here. But that was never on their radar. And I don't fault them for that, but it was something that I just always felt like I wanted and needed, and I didn't want to have to go pay for another subscription to another something else. So I feel like I've always been this overwhelmed. I don't want to buy another tool. And I was expressing this frustration with a buddy of mine who's in this space, and he said, Clayton, don't just think about the tools you're paying for. Think about the missed opportunity cost of tools that you really need, but you're just not going to buy, and you're just not going to pay for. So I'm going to speak probably very aspirationally here because some of this, as I told the group Nathan and Zach were in there last week, this one has been the hardest one for me to put together because over the last month, everything about this has changed because of all the tools and platforms that are out there. And I've texted most of you guys individually about something. Watch this. Oh my God, Zach, watch this video. So it's just so many things that I've learned that it's crazy. Because Carla struggles with the duct tape trap. She's just got all of her tools and systems. Does that resonate too, Zach? You need? That has been me. This is so many in this space. One of my guys that's within the agency, he's a ventriloquist. His wife passed away from cancer very unexpectedly, very rapidly. They didn't have any children. He met a woman whose husband, I think, was killed by a drunk driver. I'm not exactly sure, but her husband died, and she had 3 kids, so they have become a blended family. And because of the 2 of their tragic stories, they put together a lot of really good parenting resources. So they go out and speak. I was meeting with him on yesterday, and when I was describing this to him, he's sitting there just like Zach and was just shaking his head because he also has been trying to manage and cram together these tools, cobble them together, if you will. So here's the one where it really got me excited. Just, you're not gonna believe this. Like I know I've texted Derek and go, dude, I just learned this. Wait till I tell you this. It was a few weeks ago where I learned, I was watching one of the guys that I mentor or that I've looked to for guidance and whatnot, and he talked about Claude. And I've heard about Claude and what it can do, but I've never really messed with it because I just hear people say, I built it with Claude, but they never tell you how the heck to do that. But this guy actually walked through and showed you how to build some things. This is, all of this that we're going to talk about is the platform I'm building for speakers, for all of us. I got in there and was just playing around with it and trying to say, think of it like this, instead of going into great detail on like how it works. Claude is like when a speaker goes and speaks, you know, they're really good on stage, but it's the before and after stage that really bogs us down. So all these AI tools that I've learned that we can create and I can put into the system, our platform, so that you have one login and a dashboard with all your tools available, is like a crew of roadies. Like when you go and perform, you don't set up, the speaker doesn't set up the microphone, doesn't worry with the lighting. He has a crew that does that. And so that, all these AI tools are like your crew of roadies, each one of them with a specific task. And then what I'm creating in the HLS platform, like when we walked through the Brenda exercises, and y'all were like, dang, this is exactly who I want to speak to. We're building that into this platform. So instead of you having to go, hey, copy this, paste it into ChatGPT, we're building a brand DNA tool that will follow everything that we're talking about that we walk through. And instead of you having to prompt it, it's already got the prompts built in. So it's guiding you to the outcome that you're wanting to get to. Then what it will do, and again, I only learned this a couple weeks ago, what it will do is that every other tool we build will reference this tool. So that when Derek needs to write a newsletter to his men's group, he can say, I need a newsletter on this topic, on the story in John chapter 5, and it builds him an entire newsletter or communication to his people. So that brand DNA is kind of like the discography or your set list, and it knows exactly, hey, Derek's speaking to men this week, so build him a set list of his topics and tools and things so he can speak to the men. Or maybe now he's speaking to families, so it can tailor that. What was that? I should have used it today. And then you probably heard the term API, and I'm fixing to tell you about the extent of what I know about it, okay? Because I don't really care how the tools work as much as I just care that they work. So I was asking it, I asked Claude, and I just played dumb, and I said, what is this API stuff? Give me a simple way of explaining it to somebody. So API is like the backstage door. So when you type into a tool, what do you want to be known for? And you start typing in your answer, and you hit send, it's putting it through that backstage door. And Derek's got a unique backstage door than Michael's. So all these tools, when people log in, they're not overlapping and communicating and getting mixed up. So it has an API key or code or whatever, so that's how it does all that. What I would get you to, as you just move forward and you think about all the different tools and platforms and things that are out there, is think about the principle that you're looking for rather than just this one will do this one, I want to go over here this week, because they all have their unique pluses and minuses to it. So what we're doing with these, here's the 3 principles that we're baking into all of the tools here, is that our tools, when you do the brand DNA, it knows where you're wanting to go. And then it's outcome focused rather than prompt focused. So it's going to guide you to where you're wanting to go. And then it's all designed to help buy you time rather than lose trust. So Michael, when you ask about, help me get my mind around this feels like cheating, writing this book. We don't want to ever lose trust by just saying, hey, write me a 25,000 word book, which you can do. And there are people that do that. We want to use it for the things that would buy us time, but the more and more we use it, it's going to learn us more and learn our outputs more and get better and better over time. So that's the automation and integration that we're baking into all this stuff. Any questions on that before you're going?
You said a couple of weeks ago, we're only limited by our imagination.
Yes.
What we can do. It's like I sit in my computer and the prompt's sitting there blinking and I think, all right, what else can I do here? I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I'm trying.
I got a picture painted of Monroe in 1920.
I saw that this morning, yeah.
It was so cool. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Now, what I was going to ask, but I thought I'd ask you today. Did you give it a picture of the street, or you just said 1920?
I said, paint me a picture of 1920s Monroe, Louisiana.
Huh.
And it painted that. Wow. And
So it had to have scoured the internets somewhere.
it had to go.
And
the tower that's there, it had everything. Like,
It's crazy.
it was neat, man. It's fascinating. For a history book, I mean, huge. I put it on Facebook.
It's nice. This looks like a retro 1920s photo.
Postcard. I mean, I don't want to hijack that.
It's good. It was good. So one of my frustrations that when I was talking to Claude, it asked me, Clayton, what's your origin story? Why are you going down this path? Why do you want to do this? And what I said was, I started talking about the height problem, because Zach and I have talked about this. You cannot, if you look at any type of videos on speaking on YouTube, you will quickly learn that you're going to get hit with make $10 million on your next speech, gain 50 million leads. It's so much overhype in this industry that it just frustrates me. And when we were just going through there, it was prompting me, asking me questions about the outcome I wanted, and we came up with this phrase, expensive homework. So much of the stuff I have bought through the years, I would lump into an expensive homework category. The one that I paid the most for, that I'm embarrassed to tell you and will not tell you how much it cost, but it was way more than you want to know. They so overpromised, way overpromised. And I was trying to get into a new arena, and they were going to be the guide to help me get there much quicker than me building it on my own. Day one of the cohort is what they called it. The guy said, yeah, they're not going to give you all that. Don't worry about that anyway. You just need to do what I say. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to say bait and switch, but that's a bait and switch. There were 10 or 12 of us that went through that cohort. They did the same thing to every one of them. And so I'm not doing that because people hate expensive homework. Every person that went through that is no further down the road than they are today. So this is the platform and community that I wish I've had the last 20 years. So when I have playbook enhancements up there, here's what that's in reference to. It was last week or we didn't meet, a week or two ago, whenever it was. I had to drive to pick Lee up from a conference she was at in Dallas, and we stayed a couple days over there. So I had 4 hours over there with nothing to do. And I don't listen to the radio. I just never have. I'm always listening to a podcast or YouTube or something. But on this one, I uploaded my draft of the playbook that you all have, and I went to the one Claude folder where we were talking about all these tools and whatnot, and I said, give me a file that I can download of this entire conversation so I can upload it into a new project where we can make an enhanced playbook. So it gave me that document, put it in there, put the old playbook in there. Then I said, all right, this morning we're going to work through and enhance this playbook. And I admitted, I said, honestly, the Carla chapter is the weakest chapter because a year ago when I published the book, there was just so much I didn't know. Like when people said, how do you build this? They wouldn't explain it. So I said, I've really learned a lot based on this other project where you see the notes. I said, so I want to blend these two and create an enhanced playbook. By the time I got to Dallas, we had written the intro all the way to, I think it was Billy, Burned Out Billy. And we greatly improved the Carla chapter. And so overall, we being me and the AI tool, based on what I had and the thoughts I wanted to include, it increased it 5,000 or 6,000 words, much tighter, much more focused. And one of the things I said in there too was, I want this playbook. My goal is never to sell. I don't care if I have reviews on Amazon on it. I don't care if I ever sell a one. I will give it away as business cards. And of course, it's very sycophantic. Oh, that's a great idea, Clayton. That's the best idea. That's the best idea you've had yet. I'm like, and I finally just tell it, look, stop doing that and work like this coach or copywriter or whatever. And then it will, for a little bit, maybe 5 minutes, act like that.
The young kids call it's glazing.
It is glazing you. That is for real. So.
You got a teenage girl in your house.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time I would say so, that's the most clear and concise you've ever been.
But I hated that. Really.
Yeah, it's so stupid. That aspect of it
All you
is.
gotta do is change the voice to him, and then it'll be great.
You're using ChatGPT to write that? Or-
No, I use Claude on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so Nathan and I were talking last week after everyone left.
I just signed up for Bug just now while we're talking.
I will.
I used ChatGPT for 2 years, extensive.
Yeah, I will probably keep 3 platforms right now. Zach is. I'll probably keep the $20 plan on chat. One, because it creates images, like all these images are from chat. And that's one of the good reasons I like using it. And it is good for brainstorming, where I will also keep it for brainstorming over Claude's tokens or credits run out pretty quick. Like when I was driving home from Houston for one of the things, first using Claude, in an hour or two, I hit the limit on the $20 plan.
But you said they just uploaded.
Yeah, I just got an email from them saying they've increased the usage limit, so that's good. But the other one I pay for that is just a group bundle with my Google account is Notebook LM. I really like it for this specialized reason. Chat and Claude searches the world. Notebook LM only looks at the sources you upload. The example there was Tina, when we wrote her book, or formatted her book that she had written. I had Notebook read it, which it says, all right, give me a second to read it. Okay, I read it. Yeah, and 30,000 words and like that. And then I just said, create me an audio podcast where you critique the book and give us better ways to lay the book out. And It gave a 10-minute little audio thing, and when we did all of what it talked about in there, the book flows well. Yeah, so I will always have different platforms I use for different reasons.
I got the same story about I was in a webinar on Saturday. It was supposed to last 3 hours and ended up being 8 hours. They sold me on the product at the end.
Yeah.
I do use it though. I do use it.
Yeah.
But it's another AI platform that's only built on this guy's stuff.
Yeah. So probably what he's doing, tell me what type, you don't have to tell me what you pay for it, but what type of platform is it? What does it do?
It's acquisition. It's Alex Hormozy stuff.
Okay. So he probably has his own, he's probably using some type of go high level or something like that where he can white label it, or he may have paid and built his own, who knows. But what I can do with go high level and what I've learned is it is a robust platform. So what I've been talking with a few actual people and then with Claude is I want to decrease the overwhelm when someone logs in. I want to give them what the term I've learned in the last 2 weeks is a guided onboarding process. I'll show a video and say, hey, before you log in, before we do anything, spend 10 minutes and do your brand DNA because it's going to set you up for everything. And then I'll have videos, little short 3-5 minute videos to guide them through. But I'm betting he's using something like that or either built his own. But you can put a skin over go high level. So if he bought another platform or is white labeling, he probably put his own skin over it. Or if not, he built his own. I can promise the people who use mine, there will not be expensive homework. There will not be expensive homework. What the HLS platform is, it's one login and one dashboard. So my goal is to have that guided process to guide you through everything. So everything we've worked through in these last 10 or 12 weeks, there will be a guided process. So when we talked about Larry's leads pipeline, it will have that already set up for you. You don't have to build it. When we talked about, you weren't here the last time, but I think I've told you about this, is I got a guy to walk me through how to set up the platform right, the best way. And I was just asking him some tools, and when I was telling him about, when we talked about Larry's visibility engine and needing to get content out on a regular basis, he just paused and said, let me tell you what I wrote for myself. And he clicks on this Claude tool that he built, and it's a newsletter generator. And what he did is he set up a new Gmail account. You'll like this, Michael. I don't think you've heard this yet. He set up a new Gmail account, and the sole purpose of this Gmail account was to subscribe to newsletters that are in his niche or industry. Parenting, anything on that. He would just subscribe to random newsletters. Then he would get those in every week. This newsletter builder that he created, he can get it to look at that Gmail account with all those newsletters. He does it every 2 weeks, so it only looks back over every 2 weeks. Then it says it's outcome focused. What do you want to write about this time? And he says, I want to write on AI and entrepreneurship. And if there's anything in the news about this guy who's been in the news lately in any of these newsletters, be sure to cite those. So it reads all of those newsletters that he subscribes to. It has his brand DNA already built in it. And then it writes his newsletter for him in his tone and style, using that as the reference material. And all he has to do is copy it, put it in his Go High Level account, and hit send. And the thing about these tools is,
I'm the skeptical optimist who I want to see that newsletter.
yeah, I did. He did it for me.
It's a trust issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see. I want to read it and see.
Yeah.
See if I can pick it apart.
But
It's
you know what that feels like? The Wild West, man.
Yeah.
It's like there's no rules at this point. It's just like,
That's a lot of people use metaphors similar to that.
it's just like
Yeah.
the early days of the internet. Like
Yeah.
you guys don't know, but I remember 93, 92, 93.
I was in college the first time.
So I'm like,
You were 3 and 92.
I was 18 in 94, sitting in a computer class or lab, and I remember someone saying the internet, and I went, what is the internet? What is this thing? And so the story I told weeks ago of when I was explaining to my kids in college, we used to rent telephones. And Maddie was like, what you mean rent iPhones, Dad? I'm like, no, the ones on the wall with the jump rope on it, Maddie. And yes. And if you were cool, your jump rope went all the way through the house. So you could sit on the toilet with that cord. Yeah. And you had to hold it upside down and untangle it. That is unheard of today. Like my principal who had the mouse in his hand rolling the ball. it is crazy. And so all of these tools that we're building too, they're dynamic, meaning they'll learn with you as you grow. One thing I hate on all these platforms like MailChimp or any of these things you would use is the user limits they put on just the number of contacts you can have. I hate that. I don't want a speaker, because I don't get charged anything extra for that. If you have one user or one contact or 9 million contacts, you pay the same thing. And it's all automated and integrated. In fact, I'll show you what I built for a buddy of mine who is my cousin. I mentioned him a few times, Ron. So if you would, open your phones up and go to Ron Creech, C-R-E-E-C-H, roncreech.com. I built the website entirely by putting in one prompt, and it built it for me. This is specifically built into the high-level speakers platform. So we have an AI studio feature in there. You go over, and it pops up, and it's called vibe coding is the term they use. So it just, like when you open up that feature in Go High Level or in the high-level speakers platform, it says, let's vibe, and then when it opens, it's very much like any other AI platform, and you just start putting in a prompt. So where I had Ron's folder in ChatGPT, I said, hey, I'm fixing to build a website for Ron. Give me a good prompt, thorough prompt that I could put in. I just copied and pasted it, and that website was the first one it spit out. And then it had the brand colors off because I didn't tell it the brand colors. So I just went in and uploaded his color palette and said, change everything to these palettes, making this blue one of the primary ones. So when I talk about the road crew, every time I would prompt it, it's sending it through that backstage door to the crew back there, and they're doing their magic and sending out the result on stage to me. And then here's what's cool about that. Instead of having to connect the system I'm using for the avatar scorecard to my high-level speakers platform, now it's all built in the high-level speakers platform. So everything's connected. When those leads come in, it goes right into my leads pipeline. I can send all the automated follow-up and everything. Seamless. One other thing these tools will do, I don't know if you may not nerd out or geek out on this stuff like I do, but Zach, you probably know what SEO is for sure, yeah. Now they're hearing a term more and more called AEO, AI, or Automated Engine Optimization. These tools are built in such a way that every time you publish something, you put out a piece of content, you put a video out, it is putting that content out in such a way so you will rank as an expert in whatever subject matter. So when a local guy talks about electrical work and Zach has put out 100 articles on that, it's going to cite him in that AI platform. Because Chad and whatnot, they're becoming more and more of a search engine instead of Google. Yeah.
So they pull from YouTube Shorts, Facebook Shorts, or Reels, and what's the other thing? TikTok?
Yeah, they probably pull from all those, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what AI is the main.
Yeah.
whatever it's high on.
So what that helps us do with all the way that it works is we talked a few weeks back about AI slop, where it's just the garbage that people put out, which some of that's fun to look at. I mean, like I sent Derek and Michael this song that is just there. I have on Instagram, I have tons of AI music that is getting produced, and some of it is really fun. Yeah, so, but you're never going to do anything with that. So what I'm wanting the platform and the community to be is for those who are trying to build. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So any questions on Carla before we move to our wrap up? What would be one? I will invite you on here if you want it. What I'm wanting to do is get 25 people on the platform whose sole purpose is to try to break it before I, launch it out into the world. So if you want a website, a personal website, you want a community, all that stuff, I'll gladly put you up on there because it doesn't cost me that. And then but you have to try to break it and not be a turd when you talk to me that it is broken.
All right, I'm not.
So.
I'm gonna kick it around, try to break it kind of guy.
Yeah. So with the one guy who's helping me learn the platform and how to the correct way, he challenged me last Saturday, and he said, think about your customers, like from where they learn about you through a webinar or a scorecard or a quiz, all the way up until they click purchase to pay for it, the monthly fee, and then they log in for the first time. What do you want that experience to be? And I'll be honest, I have struggled with that. I don't know how to best verbalize what I want it to be because I don't know all the widgets and the things it'll do yet. I know most of them that we would all build, but so I'm going to probably send him a very ugly first draft of this because he's worked for gazillionaire tech companies and whatnot, and he just retired from all those. He's, I think, in his 60s or whatever, but he knows all the stuff, so he's going to help me set it up properly. Should have all that done soon. So by the time,
You'll never be able to catch up.
oh no.
I mean, I'll be
Just-
dead and gone.
Yeah, just like the last,
Y'all will be trying to catch up.
yeah, just the last month I've learned everything. It's going to be the same way.
You'll never be ahead of the game with this stuff. So I don't want people to think, man, I don't know enough to do it.
Yeah,
Because you're never gonna know.
yeah,
I know.
yeah. So what would you guys want to see in the platform? Knowing everything we've talked about, building a speaking
Yeah,
business,
some kind of custom website building thing would be helpful.
to build your own personal site, you mean? That's in there.
I'll tell you what's attractive for me is I don't have the homework part, but
Yeah.
the homework part.
Yeah.
Just from speaking from probably people that are busy, all of
Yeah.
us are busy.
Yeah.
But being able to get an outcome.
Yeah. So the way it would, the one expensive homework I've paid for, Zach, and we can cry on each other's shoulder after this. What irked me, one, I'm a Southerner, so Southern hospitality ranks high on all of our values lists, whether we say it or not. So the way you would log into the Zoom call for this thing would be the 6 of us, 5 of us, and they're talking. And this guy, when he was ready, for the coach, when he was ready to get on there and talk, he just popped on, all right, let's get going. I'm like, we in mid-conversation, homie, just say, hey, what y'all talking about? But it was just rude. You're here to learn from me. I'm the expert. Kiss my feet and bow at my feet and not kiss my butt, but that's really what he was saying. And so I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So, and every time, what I was going to say with that, I just got frustrated. Nathan started off venting, and then I'm venting now.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, like the brand DNA stuff where we walked through and then we kind of talked about it, there was none of that. He would present and then say, go do it. And I actually learned more where you could schedule like a one-on-one Zoom call with some of their other coaches and whatnot. And I learned more from those 2 or 3 people I talked to because they would actually spend time and let you unload on them and say, here's what I'm trying to do. And yeah. And I'm sure the other guy did too, but I don't know, just a lot of off-putting. I'm not 100%, okay?